There has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michelle Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 265, Absolutely Fabulous. Terri Chrisman, Lifestyle Medicine, and Fabulous Health. Hey, my veg your bestie. It's Michelle. If you've been listening for a while, you know I don't always love talking about health on this podcast, and it's not because it's not important, but because I'm not a medical professional. I don't want to pretend to be, and honestly, I get pitched all the time by so-called wellness influencers, people pushing supplements and hormone therapies and perimenopause protocols, and I know that this is a subject many of us are interested in, maybe all of us in some way or another, and it is one of the portals, if you will, that initially brings people into a vegan or plant-based practice. So I do read your emails and I do read your DMs on Instagram, and I'm so grateful and tickled every time one of you takes the time to reach out to me. So I know you want a little more discussion on the topic of health. So when friend of the pod and vegan hype woman Sandra Nemoto introduced me via email to today's guest, Terri Chrisman, it was really perfect timing, because I know you guys want more information. So Terri is a nutritionist. She is board-certified lifestyle medicine professional and an author of the new Amazon bestseller, Fabulous Health. Fabulous Health, a simple plan to get well and stay well. Fabulous Health it's science supported, and you remember that word, right? Science? So it's science supported and actually useful. Simple, approachable recipes are included, lots of information, lots of discussion, and then just those things we need, swaps and strategies, and a built-in workbook and journal so you can reflect and apply what you're learning in real time. So today's conversation, it's not about macros or magic potions. It's more about inertia, identity, and those sneaky little lies we tell ourselves when we're trying to change. I'll talk to you on the other side, but let's get into it now. Terri Chrisman, author of Fabulous Health, a simple plan to get well and stay well. Welcome to Veg Your Best.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
It is a delight. You were brought to my attention by friend of the pod, Sandra Nemoto, who has been herself a guest on Veg Your Best. And I think we have lots of other people in common. And I am, first of all, going to say congratulations on, I guess it's an Amazon bestseller.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm very excited about that. It's doing very well. I'm spreading the word to a lot of people, and it really makes my heart happy.
Well, that is no small feat. Amazon bestseller. So Terri Chrisman, you are a nutritionist. You are a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Am I saying it correctly?
Correct, yes.
And so you are somebody who is trying to help us live well, feel better, feel healthier, be healthier with a whole food plant-based diet. But right off the top, I'm just going to say, we know we should eat more vegetables. What's wrong with moderation, Terri?
It's funny you should ask that, Michelle, because a gentleman spoke to me about this last night at a dinner, and I ordered the vegan bowl, which was amazing, by the way. And everybody else was having other things that shall remain nameless that you can get at a pub. And I said to him, well, the problem with moderation is it's what brought us to this obesity epidemic. It's what brought us to this situation where people are getting diabetes and dying of Alzheimer's too early and having strokes. Because I'm 58, and when I was a kid, the food in the supermarket was it was kind of whole foods. There wasn't all this ultra processed food. Sure, you could buy cookies and cakes and cereal with artificial colors and things like that. I grew up in Australia, so there was less of that artificial stuff. But a little bit of a few cookies and a bit of cake and whatnot, and maybe even some dairy or whatever, would not hurt a person over the long term. But as life went on, as the years passed, food companies started putting in all these artificial flavors, artificial preservatives, colors. The animals were no longer living in a paddock with daisies running around the field and having clean bodies. The animals themselves are under a lot of stress. They have stress hormones, they have veterinary medications, they have their own lifestyle-based diseases, they have cancer. And those kind of chemicals inside your meat products are what are making people sick as much as the saturated fat that is inherent in the animal products. So Dr. Dean Ornish said moderation is not going to help anybody. You can't actually get from A to B with moderation. You need to be purposeful with the way you eat, the way you live your life. You need to think about what's coming into your body and eliminate the toxins, eliminate the products that are giving you heart disease and Alzheimer's, and start eating a diet. If we're just talking about food, start eating a diet that has the antioxidants in it, the fiber, the vitamins and minerals, and those are whole plant foods. So unfortunately, the moderation just is more of the same.
I wonder often that moderation it sounds like it's 2,000 years old, the idea of moderation. Was it Galen or one of the great early philosophers would say moderation in all things and in all things moderation. It sounds really wise, you know? And I think when we're talking about the specifics of it, you're bringing up something very important.
Yeah, well, 2,000 years ago, you couldn't buy ultra processed foods. You had fruits, vegetables, and maybe you farmed a goat or something, and that was it. And so, sure, moderation in those times was probably okay. And you probably couldn't get enough calories 2,000 years ago because you could only grow certain plants at certain times. And maybe it was necessary to survive to have a farmed goat or a sheep or whatever so that you could survive throughout the winter. But now that just doesn't stand for the 21st century. People do not need animal products to survive. And in fact, animal products, as you and your audience know, are harmful to us. So I'm trying to spread the message that if you just take the bad stuff out and put the good stuff in, it's like magic. Your body all of a sudden starts to heal itself and you will lose the weight, or your blood pressure will come down, or your cholesterol will go back to normal numbers, and maybe your diabetes will reverse. And if it doesn't reverse, because some of these conditions are non-reversible depending on how far you are in them and how bad your pancreas is, for example, whether or not it's producing enough insulin and all those things. But all good things will happen once you start poisoning it and you start fueling it. So if you if you started feeding your car on, bacon grease or something, it's not going to run very well. It's got oil in it, but it's not going to run very well. And very soon your car's going to break down. The human body is an amazing machine. It will tolerate abuse for years and years until it doesn't anymore. And that's what happened to my dad. I got a picture of my dad right next to me. And I hate to say the word abuse when I look at him, because he didn't know he was abusing his body, but he was, because he was eating animal products and dairy and lots of ice cream and cakes and whatnot. And, he died of an instant heart attack. We didn't even know he was sick because his body tolerated it for all those years until it said, nah, no longer.
I know your book is dedicated to your dad, right?
Yeah.
So fabulous health is what we wish for everyone's dad and mom and best friend and spouse and community colleague. So how can we look at this in terms of, so I think one of the things about moderation is it deflects from what's really the problem. It isn't that we think we can eat all these other things so much, is we're uncomfortable not eating some of these things.
Yeah, change is really hard for anybody. I try to keep my weight low and I struggle with that. I think there is a genetic component to some people who struggle with their weight. And even though I'm whole food plant based, I know that I can't overeat because I will put on weight very, very easily. But change is hard. And change goes right back to the times when we're children. How are we brought up? What did our parents feed us? What was normal in our culture? And if those things were inherently unhealthy, and then as an adult, we start developing disease because disease takes a long time to develop. And then we're told by a health coach or a nutritionist or our doctors that we have to change. Well, basically, it's taking the things that you hold dearest. It's not just change your food. Okay, I'll change my food. No, you're wanting me to change my culture. I can't have fried chicken anymore. That's what my family's always made. That's part of my identity. And now you're taking that away. So I think as health professionals, we have to understand that it's not just a case of swap out your chicken for the tofu, because that's for somebody who's already eating tofu. That's a no-brainer, right? How difficult is that? Well, it's really difficult if that's part of your identity and part of your culture. So I think that the reason people find it difficult to change is because it's not just the food. It's about what they stand for and their identity. And it's really important to help people make changes that are so tiny that it doesn't hack into their identity. So, for example, somebody drinks soda all the time. And that's because they used to have soda at the breakfast table when they were kids. I mean, I don't know anybody who did that, but just a hypothetical family that they used to have soda. And they remember their mum, and their mum's now passed on. And every time they look at that soda bottle, it reminds them of their mum. And I say, well, you're going to get rid of that soda bottle. Well, that's a really, really hard thing to do. So you want to try and preserve the history, but at the same time as alter the actual action of the person. So in the case of soda, maybe they drank the orange soda. I'll say that because it's easier to swap out than the brown one. They drank the orange soda. And so now you're saying, well, why don't you try some sparkling mineral water and just a splash, a couple of tablespoons max of orange juice. And yes, it's not going to taste the same as the 75 grams of sugar orange soda, but you're still going to have that orange sparkly drink in front of you, and the memory of your mum is still going to be there, and that's not going to be attacking your memory. So then all of a sudden they're drinking something healthier, and then they're not losing the memory of their mum.
Yeah, I think it's so wise. We do need to, because people get overwhelmed by all the information, and your book is full of information. It's full of charts and pictures, and not so many pictures, but so many graphics in terms of how we learn what we could swap out, how we could veganize or planticize the foods that we're eating, that we're used to, and I'm thinking that all of us, myself included, always have an anecdotal to combat any science you bring out to me. I can go, yeah, well, my grandmother lived a long time and she smoked and she ate bacon. And
Yes.
somehow that can for so many of us, offset. Don't confuse me with science, please, because I knew a lady who ate bacon.
Yeah. Well, there's always somebody who lived to 110 who smoked and ate bacon, and there's As soon as a person becomes healthier or starts eating plants and not eating animals, all of their friends and family miraculously get a doctorate in nutrition by
So
divine
true.
intervention. I'm not sure how that happens. I wish that would happen to me and I wouldn't have to go to school for 5 years. But uh, yes, look, if you know anything about statistics and science, which I'm sure your listeners do because they're intelligent people, there's a thing called the normal curve. And what that says that in any circumstance, there's going to be a bell curve that 67% of the people are going to fit in the bulk of the bell curve. And then you're going to have the outliers that sit on the outside of the bell curve. So that means that, for example, on one side of the bell curve, you're going to find people who ate healthy, didn't drink any alcohol, didn't smoke or do anything silly, always exercise, and they died at 38, right? So that's the worst case scenario there. And then you're going to find people on the other side of the bell curve who did all the bad things, ate the bacon, smoked and drank, didn't do any exercise, they lived to 110. Those people are called outliers. In science, we discount those people because they're not representative of the population, and science is statistically based. And so nothing is ever absolute. You can't say if you eat plants, you're going to be 100% healthy. If you eat plants, you're going to reverse your diabetes. Look, that happens for some people. And I love to tell people that it can happen, but it doesn't mean it will happen. So the bulk of the people are going to react in a certain way. And the science tells us that the bulk of the people react in the way towards health if they start removing those unhealthy things, your smoking, your drinking, your animal products. Start exercising, getting good sleep, having connection to others. Those are the 6 pillars of a healthy lifestyle that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine teaches us. And you can argue blue in the face that you knew somebody who lived to 110, but they are not the average person. And I would not want to take that risk. So do I think I'm part of the 67%? Yes, I do. I don't think I'm part of the, on either end, it's, 33% divided by 2. So the 15% on either end, I don't think I'm part of those people because then you're just playing roulette with your health. So that's another thing. As the guy I was speaking to last night, I said to him, the science tells us that eating meat, particularly processed meat, gives you cancer. It's a fact. There is science that says that processed meat is as carcinogenic as smoking and asbestos and formaldehyde. This is written by the World Health Organization. You cannot argue with that. I mean, you can, but you might as well argue with a brick wall because there's no coming back from that. That's a fact. So if that's the case, why would I even put a little bit of that in my body? Notwithstanding the cruelty to the animals and all the rest of it, but why would I want to poison myself just a little bit? I don't want to do that. I want to be as healthy as I can be. So when I find documented evidence that a particular food stuff or a particular behavior is either carcinogenic or it's atherosclerotic, which means it'll give you heart disease and clog up your arteries, or it promotes dementia, or it promotes diabetes, or any of the non-communicable diseases, I'm going to say, can I live without that thing? Yes, I can, and I do. And that's what I like to tell people is you make the choices for your life, but don't kid yourself that you're the outlier, that you're going to be the one that can smoke and eat bacon and drink alcohol and you're going to live to 110 because you heard about somebody that was doing that. If that's what you choose to do, then don't be surprised when you're dead, right? That's all I can say. And that's a really nasty thing to say. But don't argue with me that it's okay. Don't try and get me to validate that it's okay. I'm always 100% going to say it's not okay, but you do you. If you want to go off and do that, then by all means, I'm not going to argue with you about it because as Plato said, you cannot argue with an idiot.
Well, you can, but it's a huge waste of time, right? Well, so Terri, this is such a good, I think this is such a great beginning because I think as I told you at the beginning, my audience, typically no one's listening to me because they are working for, the cattlemen's group of beef ranchers. So we're already kind of a pre-selected group of people who are listening to you today who want to move in that direction. If they haven't already, they're trying to move in that direction. They are probably running into the same little roadblocks and hiccups and obstacles along the way that most of us find, especially in the beginning, that there are certain things, and typically those things are other people.
Yes.
more than they're the food. But the food is also sometimes, especially in the beginning, a little bit unusual, because I know people say, listen, I can cook for my kids last minute, my spouse, family. I've been doing the same thing for 50, 40, whatever years. I can do it in my sleep. So now you're asking me to do something that I actually have to think a little bit extra. And you, in this book, Fabulous Health, A Simple Plan to Get Well and Stay Well, you actually are addressing that. You're trying to make it simpler because you're recognizing that change, there are some things, some skills to learn, some strategies to adopt.
Yeah. In order to change, you have to get over the inertia. And inertia is the biggest wall. And once you get going, it's a lot easier. But it's like, why do people sign up for a gym and never go? It's the inertia of actually getting their shoes on and getting to the gym, whether they drive or not, whatever. But it's the fear of the unknown, I don't want to do that. The little teenager comes out in you and you're like, I really want to have eggs and bacon for breakfast. I don't want to have vegetables. You know what I mean? But the brain is talking to you. There's like the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder. I don't know if you ever saw that Sylvester and Tweety Bird cartoon where Sylvester was an angel and a devil, and one of them was telling him to love Tweety Bird. The other one was telling him to eat Tweety Bird. It was pretty funny. So that happens to all of us. It happened to me this morning. I woke up this morning and I had just made a whole big container of Dr. Furman's Nutritarian granola, which I've got a very similar recipe in my book. It's divine, but it's got nut butter in it, which is quite calorific. Is that a word? Calorific? Anyway, I thought to myself, I really want some of that granola, but, I really want to start my day off with vegetables. And I had to have that conversation in my head. And look, I wrote the dang book and I still had to have the conversation in my head. Terri, eat the vegetables. You're going to feel a lot better if you eat the vegetables first thing in the day. Then you've got a big pile of vegetables, lots of vitamins, minerals, fiber in your tummy. You're done. And look, there's nothing wrong with the granola, but it is high in calories. It's got a lot of nuts in it and dried fruit. And I want to start my day off light. And if I want granola later on, I can do that. So yes, you have to get over those two people in your head. The you can do it person and the forget it person is too hard, right? And so you need to have that conversation with yourself. But then what you need to do is you need to make it ultra easy. So let's think about what you've been cooking for your family for 50 years. Please tell me there's at least one vegetable in what you're cooking, right? So, okay, there's got to be some healthy foods in the food that you're cooking. I can't believe that everybody lives their life on fried chicken and hot dogs, right? People just don't live like that. And if they do, they don't live very long. But so we'll assume that you're giving it a go and that maybe you've cooked some potatoes and maybe there's some broccoli or some green beans or something. We'll use that as a start. And if your family still wants to eat the beef casserole or whatever it is, that's fine too. And as you're cooking, just say you're making a beef stew. You can have two pots. You put the onions in both. You put the carrots in both. You put the tomatoes in both. You put beef in one for your family, and then you put some beans in the other for you. It doesn't take any extra time to do it at the same time, just two different pots. And the healthier you get, the more you'll not want to poison your family with the beef stew. And the more you'll want to say to them, hey, do you want to try my stew? Same seasonings, same veggies, same sauce. And then they taste it and they say, it tastes exactly the same. And then you're like, excellent. How about we swap it out next time? They may be a little bit reticent to it. hesitant. That's the word I'm looking for. And you might say, okay, what about if I give you a spoon of the beef and a spoon of the beans? And then, okay. And then the next time, same deal. I've made one beef, one beans, except I only bought a half a pound of beef this time instead of a whole pound. And so there's only this much of the beef one, and I've got this much beans one. So if you're still hungry, have some more beans one, because it tastes the same. So just taking what you already know, swapping out the things that you know are unhealthy for you, the things with saturated fat in it. Maybe instead of deep frying, you're now steaming or you're air frying. Taking out the meat and dairy out of things and swapping them out with meat alternatives. If you can't stomach tofu or you don't want to eat beans, you want to start off with those processed meat alternatives, just because it's, you know that your family will eat them, and that's a better step than no step at all. And then as you get healthier and healthier and you get more and more knowledge about food, you can start taking out the processed meat alternatives and start putting in your whole beans, tofu, legumes, tempeh, things like that, and do it at your own pace and don't feel any pressure. So I know that was a very long-winded answer, but the 3 tips that I give to people are: start with what you already like and eat more of those. So if you've already eaten potatoes and broccoli, just eat more potatoes and broccoli. Number 2, start swapping out the unhealthy ingredients for the healthy ingredients. And the last thing is try new things. Don't be scared. But don't try all the new things. Try one new thing. And if you don't like it, maybe try it again, cooked a different way, or maybe leave it and come back to it later. Don't discount it. Don't throw it away. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But just try it. See what see what you can do to make it yummy for you. And look, by all means, don't eat stuff you don't like, but just keep trying new things.
I 100% agree. And I heard you talking about, your how you teach people. And so much of it was the same with me. When people are saying, I really don't know where to begin, I always say, as you do, start with what you already like. Make that list. I'll make the list for you, and you can just circle the ones. Start with what you already like. And then if you're really feeling like, oh, Michelle, that's not where I want, because some people, they overcomplicate this, right? They want to make more today. But then you could choose the things that you really are comfortable not eating again. I think a lot of us, even if you ate every kind of animal that there was, which I did as a younger person, I was happy. I could say, yeah, I don't need to eat any kind of foie gras or liver products ever again. Okay, we could just start with that. Just like you're not giving up something you really missed. Or if it is what you want to have liver, if that really resonates for you, keep that, but just put the list of something else that you just comfortable. I probably never need that again. And we can just make it simple for now and then live your life a little bit there. Obviously, if you've got a health issue, if you're somebody who's really suffering from already advanced cardiovascular disease or something, you probably have different advice.
Oh, absolutely. You've got a couple of choices when you have advanced cardiovascular disease, and I'm going to be really blunt here. You can have stents, bypasses, open heart surgery, death, or you can make drastic changes to your lifestyle. I would not suggest that somebody goes slow if they have advanced heart disease. I would always suggest that in consultation with their cardiologist, we start an aggressive lifestyle change. And that is, you don't want to eat that stuff ever again. And it's going to be really, really hard. It's like coming off drugs as a drug addict, or stopping smoking, or you're an alcoholic and you have to stop alcohol. You're not going to keep bits of, fentanyl or MDMA in your house if you're a drug addict, right? Nobody wants to eat fentanyl. That's true. You're just not going to have alcohol in the house if you're an alcoholic and you're trying to stop drinking alcohol. So you really need to remove the temptation. Look, you can, if I had chocolate, vegan chocolate in my house, I can guarantee you I'm going to eat vegan chocolate. Now, vegan chocolate's really marginally different from dairy-based chocolate. Obviously, there's no dairy in it, but it's still got lots of fat in it and sugar, and it's a treat. But it's going to be in my tummy if it's in my house. But if there's no vegan chocolate in my house, am I going to get in the car and drive and go and buy the vegan chocolate? No, I'm not, because I'm feeling a little snacky and there's no chocolate. Well, I'll just have one of my little oatmeal cookies and a cup of tea. That's what I'll do. But if there was chocolate, I would be eating that chocolate. So if you have advanced cardiovascular disease, you have to, and it's non-negotiable, you have to remove the source of the illness from your environment. And that means getting in the freezer, taking all the meat out of the freezer, giving it to your next door neighbor or throwing it out or whatever. And I say in the book, if you're throwing stuff out because you don't want it to kill you, why would you give it to your next door neighbor? Because you don't want to kill them either, right? But some people don't care. Some people are not on your trajectory of health and they'd be happy to take your leftovers. But I agree with you. You stopping eating, duck liver, I can't even say foie gras, but because it wasn't really important to you. I never ate seafood. Never. It just wasn't in my family's cuisine repertoire. Giving up seafood wasn't difficult for me because I never ate it. And the same with giving up meat for me was not difficult. When I was 18 years old, I had no nutrition knowledge whatsoever, and I was getting a little bit chunky. And I thought, what can I give up? Because that's what you do when you want to get thin. You give up stuff, right? What can I give up that's not chocolate? Meat. I'll give up meat. Oh, look, I'm saving the cows too. Now little angel wings are growing off my back. And so I did that for 25 years, thinking that I was doing the right thing for my body. I was still eating meat, still eating dairy and eggs, of course. And then I read the science. But yeah, give up the stuff that doesn't affect you greatly first. Do the easiest thing first. Get rid of it. But again, with advanced heart disease, maybe you've had a pre-existing TIA, which is a tiny little stroke, or maybe you've got angina. You got to stop it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it matters. It makes a difference. And people want you around. Sometimes I think people get a little bit like, oh, well, what difference does it make? I mean, a lot of the people who listen to this show are people who are not, as I say, in the first flush of youth. And sometimes we'll say, yeah, but what difference is it going to make at my age? And you're here to say it does matter. It does make a difference.
Oh, my God. I'm looking at the picture of my dad right now as I speak to you. It makes all the difference. I was angry at him for 20 years for dying on me. And I was the one, like, he's the one that's not alive, yet I was the upset one, because how dare he die? And I think people have to understand that they're just not islands. They have a ocean of people around them that love them, from your very closest relative, either son, daughter, mother, father, whatever, spouse, through the cousins, the friends, the relatives, the workmates. Everybody will grieve. And you, by leaving this earth because of selfishness, excuse me for saying that, by knowing that you have heart disease or whatever, and you don't care if you die because who gives a rat's, because I'm too old anyway, I can't do anything. You are inflicting untold pain on lots of people. Now, my dad didn't know that he had heart disease, so he didn't do it on purpose, right? And it took me a long time not to blame him. I was really angry for a long time, and I was only angry because I found out that it could have been avoided, or at least maybe he could have lived longer if we had have known. But back then, I mean, he died in 1992. So his heart disease was growing in the 70s and 80s. I was a kid. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I couldn't have advised him on what to do. So there was a lack of knowledge, there was naivety, and it was just really, really unfortunate. But now I just find it incongruous that an adult person can live their life and not know that meat and dairy causes heart disease. But apparently 96% of the population in America don't know or don't want to know or don't care. Yeah, that's right. For people who you are not watching this, but Michelle's putting her fingers in her ears. I hear nothing. I see nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is it and in their defense, in our defense, because I'm sure, I always say that moving in a vegan direction, becoming vegan, doing it poorly for a while, and then being more adept at it later in time, it made me very humble about all the other things I'm not seeing currently too. So because I understand in the nicest possible way how brainwashed we are by the people who loved us most. My mother was a nurse. She was very health forward. My dad was a physician. They thought they were doing the best thing for me by making me drink tons of milk. and and in spite of it, I have osteoporosis. So I drank all the milk, and I ended up with osteoporosis long before I went vegan. So I mean, they thought they were doing the best thing for us. So what we're trying to do is evaluate the science, learn what we know more. It's so cool that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is now a specialty, right? It's a board certified specialty
Yes.
for American physicians. You're from Australia, I'm guessing from you. No, you actually said. Is there a similar category for physicians in Australia?
Yes, yeah, there is. There's the Doctors for Nutrition, and they are actually part of the ACLM. When you become board certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, you can get an international board certification called the IBLM. And that's what the Australians do. That's what the UK people do. So the ACLM, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, is the governing body for pretty much the world when it comes to lifestyle medicine. And they are moving in leaps and bounds. They are taking medical schools and getting medical students to do the certification. They donate their certification to medical students sometimes. I'm not too sure exactly of the specifics of it, but I know that they did that for a while and they could possibly still be doing that. Because all certifications cost money, they take time, you got to do a lot of work, you got to learn a lot of stuff. But it's good to see that 20-year-old students now going to medical school, which is arguably one of the hardest university courses to do, are on top of their regular workload also doing this ACLM certification. So that is fantastic. And not just general practitioners too. You find that cardiologists are doing the certification as well. I have a cardiologist because my dad died of heart disease and I'm at risk. He is certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I would not have gone to another cardiologist. I searched for one that was certified because I did not want a cardiologist to say to me, oh, yeah, it's genetic, take this medication, right? I wanted to go to a cardiologist and say to me, okay, what are you eating? What are you exercising? How are your relationships with people? What's your stress level like? And then do a complete lifestyle history and then say, okay, what can we work on? What can we do a little bit better? I go to him once every 6 months and he never fails to say to me, yep, keep the exercise up. He knows who I am and he knows what I do. Yeah, how much are you exercising? Well, I hurt my knee and I had surgery on my knee, so I'm getting into it. Yeah, well, get back into it as soon as you can. You know what I mean? Like, he's hardcore. And because he wants to help his patients not have stents and bypasses and things like that. So it's lovely and fantastic that more and more physicians are learning the science. And look, with greatest respect to your dad, he most likely, and I can't imagine any other way, just was giving you the best advice from what he was taught. So his information he was giving to you to make you the healthiest kid available. And now that information has changed. And your dad couldn't have seen the future. So, he couldn't have recommended anything else. But now the science is there. And it is a little bit up to the physicians to seek it out because it's not in the mainstream. It's not universally taught in medical schools. The students have to go out of their way to find it, but it is there.
Mm. And, I think another thing that people in the defense of physicians, they think, okay, I only have a few minutes with this patient. And what is the likelihood they're actually going to really make a big change in how they eat by the time they see me in 6 months or a year? What are the chances of that? So am I really going to spend a bunch of my time right now explaining how real that information is? I mean, some do, but it's probably a lot to ask for most overworked physicians to be bringing it up in our health appointments.
Yeah, the physicians that say that are ones that are not trained by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, because they think that people won't make the change. But what we learn is that if you give people the information, some of them will make the change. And what about the Hippocratic Oath of do no harm? By not telling patients this life-saving information is doing harm. And I believe, and I really, really hope that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine gets into universities as a prescribed course. Then everybody will learn about this life-saving information. And then once you know, you can't unknow. So even if you've got 5 minutes with a person, it doesn't take a lot of effort to say, hey, I think maybe your lifestyle, your diet may have something to do with your condition. Are you open to exploring that more? I'm going to give you some resources. Here's a book. Here's a link. Go and watch some YouTube videos. Come back to me in 4 weeks and let's talk about it. Look, that took me 30 seconds. If you can't say that as a physician to a patient, then I don't think that you're looking after the patients in the best possible way. But as you're so right, they don't have a lot of time. They were not taught this information at medical school, and they do have to go out of their way to learn it, and a lot of them just don't have the time. But I am finding, maybe it's just the people I follow on LinkedIn or whatever, but a lot of the physicians are promoting lifestyle first. I follow a cardiologist on LinkedIn, and he was talking about the new blood pressure. They always change the guidelines, which is weird because the human body's not changing, right? It's like the blood pressure is either high or it's not high, right? And if you change the guidelines saying that, this higher level is no longer a problem, it's like, well, the body doesn't know that. So he said that even though the guidelines changed and they suggest medication, there's no way we're going to do that. We're going to suggest lifestyle first. And I like to see physicians coming on places like LinkedIn and YouTube and talking to patients. They're not giving individual medical care. They're just saying, hey, if your blood pressure is at this number, you should be looking at lifestyle first. Don't go off to your doctor saying, give me some pills. So that's great.
Because it's also part of, like, to me, full consent. The idea of actually having consent. Do I understand what you're offering me, this medication, by not mentioning other things that could limit the amount of medication I need to take, or maybe make that medication unnecessary? That's not full consent.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the other thing is that I'm not anti-medication by all means.
Of course.
I am pro-lifestyle. And if you require medication in addition to your lifestyle, it doesn't mean the lifestyle's failed. It means that you are preventing your body from needing more medication and preventing disease, but your body may need a little bit of help, and that's fine. And people should not feel like they have failed or that the lifestyle has failed if they still need to take meds. But because what you're saying, Michelle, is completely right. Maybe they would need more meds, or maybe their disease would progress further, or maybe they would be dead. So anything that you can do to improve your lifestyle, whether that's eating more plants, exercising more, getting better sleep, any step you make is better than doing nothing at all.
I love that you made that point also, because I do know people who are quite committed to a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, and who feel that their type 2 diabetes just didn't completely respond to it. And there's a sense of somehow I'm not serious, or they feel judged that they weren't serious enough, or they didn't like comply well enough with that. And that is 100% not what you're saying at all. I love that. Make sure that people
Well,
know that.
there's two sides to every sword. So, yes, I did all the things and I still have high HbA1c. That's okay. Keep doing all the things. But what about, oh, I tried to do all the things, but I kind of didn't really do them. I kind of sort of did them and my HbA1c is still high. Well, you just need to be honest with yourself. Is there anything more I could do? No, I'm doing it all. Well, so be it. Yeah, this is your body. This is the way your body reacts. Keep doing all the things because not doing them will make you sicker. Or, no, I've still been eating a lot of fried food and not exercising and I eat a few veggies, blah, blah, blah. Well, take an honest look at yourself and say, what more could I do to make myself healthier? And will it have an effect? And will I need less medication or will my diabetes resolve? We don't know. You just got to keep doing it. It's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. So we have to do it from now until we no longer are on this planet. It's not a case of I'll do it for a month and see if it works. Well, yeah, that's not going to help you. You have to make the change forever. And those of us who have made the change forever, it's just a natural way of being. So while it might be hard in the beginning, it gets easier and easier and easier until it becomes second nature. And then it's just who you are. It's your identity. You've changed your identity. It's no longer difficult and you reap the benefits of better health.
And it's, I think, a really important way for us to model for people coming maybe generationally behind us that these things are possible and that it's not a I remember, speaking of my dad, I remember him feeling really sad for his mother because she had to give up having sugar in her tea when she had diabetes diagnosis. And he would be like, oh, poor mother, she can't have the sugar. And so when I think about that now, at the time I was like, yeah, poor mother. But now I think about it, go, really? I mean, yes,
it's a small price to pay, right?
It kind of, yeah. And so, and what if she had embraced that, and maybe the mindset I have thinking about my grandmother was she took such good care of herself when she learned that there's certain things she could do to make herself feel better and need less medication. Look at her. She was in her 70s or 80s and she decided to make that change. And that would kind of make a different mindset, a different lens to look at lifestyle change with, rather than like, poor thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that changing your lifestyle to be healthier is detrimental. Like you should feel happy about it. So after 50, people think it's a down, you're halfway through your life. I consider myself to be, almost halfway through my life. I'm 58, so maybe I'll live to 116. I'm not too sure. But people think, oh, it's downhill now. You've gone up and now it's down. No, it's not downhill. It's not downhill at all. You have two choices. You can live with vitality and energy and do the things that create that, or you can go down the route of sickness and debilitation and death. Now, we're all going to die, but I would much rather die after, jumping on a trampoline at age 99 and going to sleep for a nap and then not waking up. Like that's much more fun than being 58 and thinking, oh, I can't walk upstairs. I need to buy a house with an elevator, or I have shortness of breath and I can't fit into any of my clothes and my joints hurt and my liver hurts and I feel miserable. Well, you might live another 30 years like that. Like sometimes I think my dad was lucky, which is a horrible thing to say about somebody who's dead. But he was living his life and then bang, heart attack, dead, right? Now, there's lots of avenues to that story, but why would you want to be sick? So I don't understand. Maybe this is psychologically, I have a block in my brain. Why would you choose illness when you can choose health? And it's not that hard. It's not like you're giving up your favorite things. You're giving up things that are making you sick. You're giving up poison that is that is toxins and that's poisoning your body. And you're choosing to eat healthy things that make you vibrant and energetic and live a happy life. And yes, I could get run over by a bus tomorrow, but gee, I'm happy. I don't really care. I mean, I do care. I don't want to die, obviously. But
Of course.
do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why people would choose illness. And maybe that's the differentiation. People don't think they're choosing illness. They think it's happening to them. But it's not happening to you. It's like when people get cancer, and I know this is going to upset a few people. Cancer is not random. It is not arbitrary. It is the result of years of abuse from some outside entity, whether that be pollution, it could be smoking, it could be what you eat, it could be where you live, what you drink, it could be all the things, right? Some of the things, people get cancer and they've lived really, really healthy lives and they get this DNA mutation and it could be from the air that they were breathing, right? They can't stop breathing air. So there are some people that get cancer that's unimaginable.
Of course.
But, if you get Crohn's disease and then you get colon cancer, that's a natural progression. If you start off with IBS, you get Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, and then you get colon cancer. This is a natural progression that we know exists. So when you start getting IBS, why not let's address that now and get away from the sickness and the illness. It's not a surprise when people get these diseases if they have the substrates to make these diseases happen down the road.
And there's so many things we have very little control over, if any. In fact, like how our parents, where our mother lived, or what she ingested before we were even
epigenetics,
born.
exactly.
Yes, so we have so little control about many things. But the good news is the control we do have, and most of us have much more control than we think we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing, Michelle, that I always mention is that just start off from the basis of controlling all the things you can. And sure, there's going to be things out there. I could get lung cancer tomorrow. I've never smoked, right? And it could be because I lived in a city and I breathed in toxic fumes and I didn't know about that. But I can control what I eat. I can control how much exercise I do. I can control the people that are around me and how much stress I'm under. I can control how much sleep I have. I can control all these things, whether or not I drink alcohol or take drugs or whatever. Those are the things I can control. And if you put yourself in a position where you're not allowing toxins into your body, and that is not just food, I'm talking about hair care products, moisturizing products, cleaning products in the home. I don't use the most common cleaner in America, starting with C, ending in X, in my house because it's toxic chemical and I don't want me or my dogs or my cleaning ladies to breathe in those fumes. I use non-toxic plant-based cleaners made out of, essential oils and cleaning, stuff that's not toxic. So all those things, if you can get all those things together and then some outside thing causes you to be ill, then you can deal with that in the best healthy position that you're at. You're not fighting with the internal toxins in your body. So get yourself cleaned up and then you'll be in a much better place to handle whatever comes your way. And whether that be a virus like COVID or you get I was skiing, I ripped my ACL in half, I had to have surgery. So I was really healthy and recovered from the surgery really, really easily because my body was in healing mode. So that's what I say. Get healthy and be in the best position, but it doesn't mean you're going to be impervious to illness and injury. You're not. None of us are Superman.
Right. That's not an argument against doing what you can do just because you can't do everything. So you're in a safe space where you can use the word vegan. You don't have to just be plant-based. But before I let you go, I want to respect your time. But for those of us who are vegans, you talk to some of us vegans, and we're doing our best. We're trying. But what's something most of us might be able to up level a little bit in our day-to-day vegan lives?
Look, there's so many yummy vegan foods out there that are probably not so great for us. And I went down the rabbit hole of eating processed vegan foods. When I tried to introduce my husband to vegan foods, we started buying all the processedy ones, and they kind of sneaked into my lifestyle, and they were no good for me. I put on weight very, very easily. As soon as I put on weight, my blood pressure goes up, my cholesterol, like seriously, it's like stack those Lego blocks, right? So I would say, look, you're already looking after the animals. You're already not buying, leather shoes and leather handbags and things like that. And that's very noble and awesome. But you do have to take care of yourself as well. Taking care of the animals and the planet is one part of being vegan, but taking care of yourself is really important too. So maximize the whole plant foods and try and stay away from those processed, particularly things like vegan cheeses. And my husband really likes cupcakes, and he buys these white flour, white sugar, buttercreamy vegan cupcake things. And I just look at the ingredients and I can't even see the sugar and the flour for all the processed chemicals and toxins in the ingredients list. And Bob, they're vegan. He says to me, Possum, they're vegan. That's his little nickname for me. And I just think, dude, let me make you a cupcake, but it's not going to taste like this thing, because I'm not going to use the white flour. I'm not going to use the white sugar. I'm not going to use the vegan butter and the, frosting and stuff like that. So just try and stay away from things that are unhealthy. Junk food, vegan junk food is still junk food. And your body is a temple, and it will react exactly the same way to a vegan cupcake as it will to an animal-based cupcake, because it's all full of garbage. Like, just try and stay away from the yucky vegan processed foods and try and eat as much as you possibly can at home. I went out to dinner last night with a group, and they said to me, "Oh, you're going to love this restaurant, Terri. It's all from scratch." And I looked at the menu and I was like, are you kidding me? The menu had about 100 things on it. And I had to sift through it to find one thing that was vegan, which was a bowl. And it had, add chicken, add salmon, add, whatever on it. It was yummy, but everybody looked at me like I was an alien because I was eating vegetables. And I'm scoffing myself with this bowl, and it was beautiful. It had edamame and chickpeas and farro and all sorts of yummy greens and Brussels sprouts shaved in it. It was just the most delicious thing, but it was the only thing on the menu. I could have very well ordered the cauliflower wings, which were deep fried, and some fries, which were all vegan. Like, I guess they were vegan too, but why would I eat that when the option was to have some whole foods? And I kind of got weird looks like, oh, you're so good. And I'm like, no, this is the food I want to eat. I don't want to eat the deep fried garbage because it makes me sick. It puts weight on me. It's got no nutrition. I mean, cauliflower is a nice vegetable, but it's 95% water. So there's not a lot of nutrition in a cauliflower. And then it's all the batter and the oil and the hot sauce. And I was just like, nah, just try your very, very best. You'll go to restaurants with friends. You don't want to be a weirdo, but just order the thing that's the healthiest on the menu and you'll be fine.
And it's okay to be a weirdo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't mind being a weirdo. That's for sure.
Terri Chrisman, author of Fabulous Health, A Simple Plan to Get Well and Stay Well. Your information's good for the veg your besties that listen here that are doing everything they can, and also maybe to put in front of that workmate or that sister-in-law that pushes back about some of your choices. Maybe she needs a copy of that dropped in front of her coffee table one of these days.
Yeah, I did write it for the 97% of people who aren't vegan because they're the ones that need our help. And it will help people who are already vegan who may be struggling, and maybe they think they're doing all the right things, but their blood pressure's still high, or their cholesterol's still high, or they're still got the diabetes. This book will help you as well because you are 95% of the way there, right? And maybe you just need a little tweak to help you get the rest of the way. But thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I know I talk the leg off an iron pot, as my mum would say. So thank you so much for allowing me to rabbit on to you.
Oh, it's a dream. Thank you so much for coming. Fabulous Health, the fabulous Terri Chrisman. Thank you so much for joining us on Veg Your Best this week.
See you later, veggie besties.
So, what did you think about Terri Chrisman? Terri brings so much understanding and clarity and, yes, science to nutrition, which we all know. We all know nutrition is a topic that can get so muddled. It gets muddled for good reasons and bad, but even in our own brains with avoidance, overwhelm, and perfectionism, nutrition can be tricky for a lot of us. And if you're listening thinking, okay, I'm already vegan or I'm already mostly plant-based, but I still struggle, you are not alone. That's why Fabulous Health, I think, is such a helpful tool. It meets you where you are and invites you to follow the evidence-based nutritional science. You know, even just the science in the annotated bibliography at the back of the book, it's a great, great resource. Now, you can find a copy wherever books are sold. And yes, the workbook pages are gold. So I'm not certain if it's available as an ebook, but I do think the actual physical copy you will use because of the workbook pages and the journaling options. So a very big congratulations and thank you to Terri Chrisman. And also my gratitude to Sandra Nemoto for connecting us. Fabulous conversation. Thank you. And of course, thank you, my Veg Your Bestie, for listening. And if you loved this episode or even just liked it, would you take 30 seconds to share it with a friend or leave a review? It really does help other folks find our show, and it means the world to me. Part of our mission this year is to support other vegan and plant-based entrepreneurs, creators, advocates. And I'll ask for myself. I would love a review if you haven't left one yet. Okay? So get out there this week and veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.